If you've gotten that phone call from your literary agent saying, "Congratulations, your book has been sold," you know that that's not the end of the story. So today we're talking about what happens next.
You're about to enter into a business agreement with a publishing house. So what can you expect from the contract and what's expected of you? Here to share the facts and figures is literary agent Jessica Faust, president of BookEnds Literary Agency. Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So why don't we start out with what type of information is included in a contract?
Pretty much everything.
That's where it all happens.
Exactly. I mean, the contract is everything from your advance and your due dates to all of the legal nitty-gritty of who's responsible for what if you're sued for the book, how much money are you going to make on the front end, how much money are you going to make on the back end, who holds what rights to sell, foreign rights, things like that. It's really the responsibilities that the author has to the publisher and the responsibilities that the publisher has to the author.
Got it.
Okay. I understand that a verbal agreement happens first many times, and when that happens, how long before the actual written contract takes place?
Yeah, initially the agent and the editor will negotiate the basics, the due dates, the advance, the royalties and things like that, and that's the verbal agreement. And then the written contract comes roughly, I mean everything's sort of roughly, but 4 to 6 weeks I always tell my authors.
And how soon should you expect to hear back from an editor on feedback or requests for revisions? Anything. What's the average that someone should expect?
I mean, ideally, once you turn in your manuscript, ideally you should get revisions in 4 to 6 weeks. But I've had authors wait 4 to 6 months.
Does it depend? Is it that the schedule is very busy and there's just sort of time management issue?
It's really, it really comes down to the publishing schedule. So the editor will place importance on what's going to be published first. So if they have 6 manuscripts coming in, she will read them in order of the publication dates.
Okay.
Got it.
Now, nobody expects to have a perfect piece when it's submitted, so we do expect at least one revision, but how many times would you expect an author would actually have to go through that process?
Really should only have one revision.
Okay.
I mean, I have had authors who get really no revisions from their editors, which I think is personally never a good thing, to authors who've really just been told, do a revision, the revision goes in, and let's just do a whole new book.
Wow.
Yeah, so, but that's really rare. I don't want to panic anybody.
Okay. That's good. That's good to know. Thank you.
Usually you can expect one revision.
One solid revision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, how long before an author should expect to see their book in a bookstore or online?
Ooh, the exciting part.
Sadly, a really long time.
Oh, no.
I mean, all of my examples are coming from the big 5.
Okay.
I mean, if you go with smaller publishers, it can change, but they will schedule the book based on your due date, and they will schedule it a year out.
Okay.
Typically. Sometimes it can be faster. Sometimes it could be longer.
Okay.
But typically, for a year from the point you deliver, you would have a published book in hand.
Anticipation.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty standard, then you know
Authors.
what to expect there.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So how do royalties work, and is there a difference between print books and ebooks? What can an author expect out of that? What's the average?
There is. The royalty rates are typically based on cover price.
Okay.
So on hardcover, you can expect, now you're challenging me because it's all coming from my head,
Okay.
10% off the cover price on the first 5,000 copies, 12.5% on the next 5,000, and 15% thereafter.
And we understand that's not a hard figure. That's just a generic.
Right.
Sure.
Right. These are pretty much industry standard
Okay.
figures. On trade paperback, it's a straight 7.5%, again on cover price.
All right.
Mass market paperback. Now, trade paperback are the larger size paperbacks, more in line with the size of a hardcover.
Okay.
A mass market paperback are the smaller ones, mysteries, romance, science fiction. Those are typically mass market. And the standard royalties for that are 8% to 150,000 copies, and then 10% thereafter.
Okay. And ebooks, does that change the rules?
Yeah, ebooks are typically 25% of net.
Okay.
Which means the amount the publisher receives from the retailer.
Okay. Now, talk to us a little bit about a book advance, the advance.
Yes.
I'm sure an author.
Get some money up front.
Can I get paid for some of my work?
And what I always like to to tell the authors, this isn't what you're getting paid for the book. You know, we expect to get a lot more than the advance. It's literally just an advance on what we hope you're going to get paid.
Okay. So it's a percentage of what the expectation is?
Yeah. The publisher will base it, hopefully, usually on what they think the book will earn out in the first year of sales. And advances for a first-time author, debut author in genre fiction, which would be romance, mystery, science fiction, paperback genre fiction, could be anywhere from low, $5,000, $10,000, $12,500.
Okay.
In that range, sometimes lower, sometimes higher. And then you hear about these amazing advances that some people get. But, you know, I think a typical advance could be as low as $5,000, $20,000, $30,000, maybe on the high end for debut authors, but somewhere in there.
And then you get that all at one time, or is it over span?
Sadly, no.
Oh.
You get nothing all at one time.
Another way.
No, it's divided up. And you'll get part of it on signing of the contract, part of it on the delivery and the acceptance of the manuscript, which means it's not just you deliver it, it means they've read it, you've done revisions, all of those things,
so
and it's ready to go to copy.
4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks and 4 to 6 weeks.
Sure.
So yeah. And then a lot of publishers went to the final payment is on publication.
Okay.
The more money you make in advance, the more payments you get.
No, what if you don't make money? Do you have to return it?
You never have to return the advance.
Okay, that's nice to know.
No. And it can take a long. Sometimes you can have a book that 2 years later finally earns out.
Okay.
So.
All right. So what happens if a book is sold at a discount somewhere? Does that mean the author doesn't get as much money? Does that change?
Only if a contract was made between the publisher and the discounter for the publisher to sell the book to them at discount.
Okay.
But if the bookstore decides that they're going to run a sale and your book is going to sell for 10% off, 20% off, whatever, no, it should not affect your royalty.
Okay. All right. That seems fair.
Yeah. It's, just them making a choice to run a sale.
And then who determines how long a book stays in print for?
The reader.
Good answer.
Are you reading the book? If not, we're done.
Yeah, as long as the book is selling, it'll remain in print. And there should be terms in the contract to specify how much it has to be selling. But typically, as long as the book is being read and bought, not just read, I guess, then it will remain in print.
Okay. One last question, because we're almost out of time.
Yeah.
How long does the author own the rights? Or when you sell the rights, how long before those rights become maybe the author's again? Can you ever get them back?
You actually only license the rights. I always like to correct that. You're not selling them.
Yeah.
Some contracts have terms, so term of copyright or things like that, but typically it is as long as the book is in print.
Okay.
The publisher will have the rights to continue to publish it, and the author will continue to get paid.
Well, again, that seems fair. Okay. Thank you so much for coming in. Wish we had more time.
Yeah, me too. This was fun.
Jessica, thank you.
Thank you.